Robert and Iscariot knelt down, placing 3 candles in a triangle around them. With the candles lit, they grabbed their offerings from their packs and began praying silently. Robert closed his eyes and lifted his head to the heavens. Lord, forgive me of my sins, for they are many. You have been kind enough to bless me with a son, and for that I am forever grateful. You give me the gift of life, something I will never be able to repay. However, I ask that you take these heirlooms, as these were to be planted for this year's harvest. Please take this sacrifice so I may honor you as you have honored me. I thank you, Father, for all that you've given me. I pray on your return. Jerma. Robert opened his eyes and sprinkled the heirlooms into the Bealach River. Iscariot had already finished and was standing behind him. Robert turned to him and smiled. My eyes are heavy. Let's get some sleep. I'm too tired to set up a tent, Iscariot complained. Let's sleep in the horse's stall. We'll just have to suffer the smell. At least we'll be warm. As night had pulled its covers over the light, so too did the sand cover over Robert's eyes. The brothers slept and woke when the light uncovered itself from the darkness. They washed in the river, mounted the horses, and rode off to Wisgabitha. What did you sacrifice, Robert? Iscariot asked as he made a tea for the 2 of them. Heirlooms for the harvest. Are you mad? The farm is 1/4 of all food supply to the city, Iscariot spoke. Hence the meaning of sacrifice? We had a bountiful year, and I will rely on the Lord to supply us should there be a shortage, Robert explained. What of you? What did you sacrifice? Our father's sword. It is very dear to me. It is what helped shape me. Robert said nothing else on the matter of Iscariot's sacrifice and changed the topic of discussion. I can't wait for you to see the river. What's it like? You're always vague when I ask you about it, Iscariot said to his brother. I'm vague because I don't know how to describe it. It's something to be seen with the eyes rather than be heard by spoken words. My eyes seek to gaze upon it much like my mouth seeks to drink the tea, said Iscariot. Is it ready? Saddle up, I'll pour your cup, Iscariot told him, and then they were off, beginning the 4th day. Time stood still for no one, and night was almost upon them. Their horses were tired, as were they. Iscariot looked as if he was sleeping on his horse, and Robert's eyes were beginning to close a few seconds at a time and whip back open as he tried not to succumb to the song of dreams. Robert closed his eyes again, and when he opened them, he saw the river. The water was green and radiant. It flickered in the blackness of the night as it flowed from north to south, gliding towards its final destination. Robert felt a calmness over him, the same calmness he felt when his daughter was to be born. Isk, we're here, he whispered. Iscariot struggled to wake up, and then caught glimpse of Wisgabitha. Eyes fully opened, he marvelled at it as the river gave a heavenly glow. Robert saw that his brother was moved by its sight. Told you my words could not do it justice? You always were a terrible poet, Iscariot japed. Iscariot kept looking at the river as it shimmered off the trees that surrounded it. Released from his trance, he sought a place to sleep. Do you see a spot to set up camp? Just over there, about 50 yards downstream. Vapour came from their breaths as they set up camp for the night. The ground was frozen hard, and the wind was just cold enough to bite their cheeks. A small fire was lit, and the green luminosity of the river reflected off everything in the forest. The 2 sat outside their tents for a while, not saying much, but enjoying each other's company. The river soothed their souls, and the tea their minds. As the fire was losing its flames, dark clouds tumbled in the sky, and the wind gave a harsher bite. Robert and Iscariot looked at one another. I think we should turn in for the night, Robert told his brother. Iscariot agreed as he shivered. Robert put more wood on the fire to last until dawn, and Iscariot covered the horses in blankets so they would not freeze in winter's grip. As the fire started to rage, so did the night sky above. The wind was forceful and the black clouds were struck in the darkness with light. Lightning reached across the darkened sky as far as the eye could see, but there was no thunder. The brothers looked up into the heavens. The wind was now screaming and the lightning began to strike the earth. The bolts struck the ground with loud, thunderous cracks, like a whip snapping the air. The strikes were close, too close for comfort. Every bolt strikes the same target, Robert thought to himself. We should get inside, Isk. Iscariot nodded, and they headed in for the night. Iscariot was soon asleep in his own tent, but Robert's eyes were open as the storm continued its fury. He put on his jacket, strapped his shield to his back, his sword to his waist, and stepped outside. The wind reddened his ears as it blew by him. The lightning had stopped, and flurries began falling from the firmament. Robert thought he could hear a horn playing in the distance, a droning sound. He began to walk to where the bolts battered the ground. Robert was certain now that he was hearing horns play, so he stopped to focus on where the sound was coming from. As he did, the trumpeting fell silent. Must have been hearing things. He doubted himself. As he got closer, the snow began to fall faster and heavier. Robert reached the area where the lightning had no mercy. It was a circular clearing about 100 meters in diameter. He tried to peer through the shadow of the night and the heavy snow, but his eyes saw nothing. Robert reached into his pocket and pulled out a clear ball with golden trim and whispered to it, "Solas!" The ball began to spin rapidly and rose into the air, illuminating the space around him. As the light began to glow, it quickly dropped to the ground. In that moment, in the black of night, there was a loud and terrible scream, a shriek that sounded of fear and death. Robert reached for his sword and readied himself for battle, his eyes darting through the cold pitch of night and white flakes of the blizzard. He stepped forward, advancing slowly to where the wicked cry had come from. "Solus!" he yelled. As Robert reached the center of the small clearing of the forest, the light came to him, and with the light, a baby's whimper.